Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Captain America Symbol of Truth Issue 8. Wow, crazy looking cover here. Now, it says Wrath of the Falcon, and we get a little bit of Joaquin in here, but not much. So, I mean, we do get him going a little bit crazy like this, but it focuses more on Sam and Nomad and kind of learning more of the intricacies of kind of what's going on in Mohanda. Let's see here. Yeah, Mohanda. So, let's get into this. So, we see that they're trying to figure out where the shelter is for the refugees. The kid's trying to kind of lead them. Now, granted, it's like, okay, it's kind of a labyrinth in here. However, tanks don't get lost in a labyrinth. And that's a really nice kind of shot to show the kind of devastation and the forces that they're up against at the moment. And the thing is, they're like pretty much about to be surrounded, and Sam is pretty much trying to hold them off as much as possible as the kid's searching for pretty much the secret kind of base that they can kind of get into. And it's kind of funny because Sam's doing that, but then Nomad's like, all right, Achilles time, as he's kind of like going in to kind of like buy him more time. And Sam's like, I never pegged you for Greek mythology kind of dude. And then Ian's just like, yeah, back in Dimension Z, Dad used to tell me a different Greek myth every night. And then Cap's just like, Steve and bedtime stories? I can't tell if you're joking or not. And he's like, yeah, it sounds nice, doesn't it? Though, granted, it would be interesting to have Steve do something like that. It does sound like something he could do. The thing is, the patrol is getting closer and everything, but the kid is able to find the kind of switch in time, gets everybody in there as Sam flies in and grabs Nomad as they get in before pretty much the opening is blasted by tanks. And he's like, if you're going to call me Pegasus, you just shut up right now. And Ian's like, but the wings! You ain't calling me a horse, that's for sure. I'm prettier than that. It's just, I do like the banter that we're getting between Ian and Sam. I guess it could be a little bit more kind of quippy, but granted, Sam is in a more kind of cheesed off state with what happened with Joaquin. And Ian, we're kind of getting a handle on who he is at this point in time, and he has pretty much been on his own, doing more kind of like Black Ops wet work, so it does make sense for them to kind of have these kind of clashes like this. And Ian starts kind of calling out, like, for a Black Ops mission, we're making a lot more noise than we really should have. And Sam's just like, this is how I do things. And of course Ian's like, well, that's why Senator Mansfield put me on this op to kind of like rein you in. And Sam's like, I didn't ask you to be here, and that right here, there's the problem. It's down this way as they keep going further in. And I do like that they're in silence for like a panel before Sam's like, I'm sorry, I'm not angry with you. I'm just worried about Joaquin, and I'm pretty much blaming myself for it. And Ian's like, I know. And it's kind of cool that even though they haven't really worked together that much, Ian does at least have enough pretty much intuition to know that like Sam's not really angry at him, because he really hasn't done anything nutty day of like, I don't know, like murdering civilians or like murdering unnecessarily of what's kind of going on. And then we see that Sam's like, I need you to pull through this, Joaquin, as we then get our pretty much just little kind of tag in as we get to the McCarthy Institute, and everybody's trying to like calm him down. And he goes kind of like vampire bird. He almost tries to like eat someone, but he's like, no, he doesn't know what's happening to him, so he kind of flies off and is able to get from there to like Arizona pretty fast. Like, I don't mind certain kind of things, and I understand that like you only have certain pages, but it's almost like he's got the ability to teleport, as he pretty much gets to his abuela, and she's like, guys, come out, we need to help him. And it's like, alright, cool. Hopefully they can take care of a like Empire Bird thing going on. So we shift back over and we see that the resistance kind of forces have themselves set up, trying to like figure out and do their introductions and everything. Nomad being like, alright, Nomad. We get introduced to Dr. Ayanda Sisulu, she says that we appreciate the U.S.'s help. It's like, where are all you got? I know that sucks. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And she's talking about like the millions of refugees, infrastructure decimated. Like we need help, and he's like, we can get that done if we can just like know our target and go after him, the person who assassinated the prime minister. And let's see here, Bathabile. Let me see here, flipping through a little bit. Yeah, Bathabile is like, oh, you're talking about the White Wolf. And then Sam's like, ah, shit, that dude's there. Han's like, all right, what's the kind of history with you guys there? Now, we don't get into that kind of thing, but we get the understanding of what White Wolf is kind of doing in Mohanda, being that, like, he took over Parliament, launched a land reclamation campaign, which led to Bathabile's farm getting seized and slaughtered the animals and murdered her family, and she was made to watch. It's like, well, that's fucked up. She needs help. And then Sasulu was a professor at the Technical Institute and wasn't going to be pretty much doing the new curriculum. And then people who like went against it were like buried in shallow graves alive. And Sam pretty much gives them the idea that like he was trying to launch a terror attack on like in Wakanda with a bioweapon and narrowly destroyed the entire country. And then we get somebody talking about getting kicked out of Wakanda as we see that this is Nightshade. What are you doing here? He's like, what? Now, granted, I don't know much about her. And we get that, like, she turned Sam into a werewolf. And she's like, once. I'm like, okay, that kind of sets me up and gives me the information that I kind of need. I'd be like, yeah, and then Ian's like, a werewolf? Now, granted, I do understand that he'd probably be more inclined to, like, technological kind of crazy weirdness with, like, Dimension Z and everything, but if he hasn't been introduced to the supernatural kind of world of stuff in the Marvel Universe, he'd be like, werewolves? Vampires? Alright, I kind of know about them, but she's like, that was a long time ago, and that, I'm not that person anymore, and then is just, like, going in on Sam for messing up stuff, and I'm like, okay, I kind of get your anger about like Wakanda's decision of kicking everybody out, which was wrong. However, White Wolf was going to institute a terror attack, and it needed to be stopped. And saying that she's pretty much angry at him for charging into battle with no regard for whose situation he's screwing up. Now, sure, you should think about your shit beforehand, but like, he knows that they're trying to like. He knew that they were going for some kind of weird terror attack, bioterror attack, and he had to do something about it. And she pretty much brings up that she's not Nightshade. It's Tilda Johnson, and he's like, 2 countries, Tilda. Let's see. And then, of course, let's see here. Bathabile's like asking what she's talking about and bringing it kind of all together. Like the Wakanda situation, they had people kicked out of Wakanda, so there's like exiles, so they're trying to figure out kind of where to go. Some of them had no way back, so they went to Mohandan, so that's why we see this kind of situation definitely dovetailing from what had occurred in Wakanda. So it's like, okay, got that. She, of course, Tilda's bringing up that she was taking language classes. She's not a criminal. She's not someone with a past. Some were using Mohanda as a rest stop, but then heard what the Prime Minister was saying. It's like, oh, okay, so this could potentially be the paradise that we were hoping for. And, of course, now she's like, this is the paradise we're fighting for of what's kind of going on. And, of course, the doctor's like, listen, you guys have history. Finish it later. We got a dictator to take out. I'm like, yep, let's do that shit. And Tilda's like, fine. Ian's like, all right, back to business. And let's see here. Then she kind of gives us a little bit more information that he's trying to turn Mohanda into a technologically advanced apartheid state. And like the biggest kind of issue, rumor-wise, is that the weapons he has access to, not guns, but like people, twisted, mutated, dangerous. It's like, okay, we'll have to see what's going on there. That could be dovetailing of what's kind of going on with Joaquin, potentially that they were doing something with like vampire kind of stuff and trying to do some kind of like mutation that way, which would be interesting and kind of link up to stuff going on with like the vampires that were going on in the Avengers issues and what's kind of going on with that. So we'll have to see how that kind of affects how Sam and Ian have to deal with this situation. But of course, the kid kind of busts in, being like, ah shit, and the government just bombed at the hospital, and that's where it ends off. So we'll kind of have to see how that kind of changes things, and what that kind of has Sam and Ian have to do next. Like, do they do rescue mission, or do they go after the dictator? It's like interesting when you're in this kind of combat scenario. What are they going to do? How are they going to split themselves up? Are they going to how are they going to coordinate their efforts? Because that's a pretty kind of big thing, and we don't know what they're kind of doing. Could they be launching the kind of people in there to kind of like break it up, or did they actually use conventional munitions or whatnot, and what kind of mutations and everything that they're going to have to deal with these kind of soldiers? It does open up some interesting kind of possibilities. It does give us our kind of core group that is dealing with Mohanda right now, so it'll be interesting to see how Sam deals with Tilda, their, of course, history of friction, because, yeah, they kind of have beef with each other because he was turned into a werewolf and she got kicked out of Wakanda, so it'll be interesting to see how that's dealt with and how Ian tries to potentially handle this situation, since he is mainly been more of a lone wolf from what we have seen so far in Symbol of Truth, and if he's able to become a kind of mediating partner in that kind of situation, or if he kind of takes over and tries to like be like, fuck this shit, we got to deal with this because shit's going crazy. We got super soldiers potentially running around with like different kind of mutations and everything. We got a civil war going on that could like go even kind of crazier if we're not careful. We need to deal with this. So there's a lot of different kind of possibilities that could be interesting, and I can't wait to see kind of what happens next. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.